This lecture is based on conversion of multi-view to isometric view. Now, to convert the multi-view to isometric view, the first step is we have to go through the orthographic view carefully. So at first we have to go through the total structure or the all the front view, top view, and side views of the orthographic projection, and then we have to find out what are the principal lines are there, and what are the dimensions of each of the features, and also we have to find out what is the maximum dimension of the object is like ac- along the length the maximum dimension is 360, along the height the maximum dimension is 30 plus 45 plus 60, so it is 135, and the maximum dimension in the depth is 180 mm. So these are the maximum dimensions of the object. Now at first we have to draw the isometric axis. So to draw the isometric axis are always at an angle of 30° with the horizontal line. So at first we will draw an horizontal line. At first we will draw an horizontal line, and at first we will draw an horizontal line, and then with this horizontal line the isometric axis will be at an angle of 30°. So we will draw x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So at first we will draw x and y-axis, and both this x and y-axis will be inclined with the horizontal line at an angle of 30°. Now to draw um, the isometric axis, we can take help of set square. So all of us have the 30° set square, so we can take help of this 30° set square, and we can draw the isometric axis. So at first we are drawing the x-axis. So this is the x-axis. So at first we have drawn the x-axis. Similarly, we have to draw the y-axis also, and y-axis will also be at an angle of 30° with the horizontal. So the y-axis is also inclined at an angle of 30° with the horizontal. So the y-axis will be inclined at an angle of 30° to the horizontal. So this is x and y. Now next we have to draw the z-axis. And z-axis obviously it will be perpendicular to the x and y-axis. So we will draw the z-axis. That will be perpendicular to the x and y-axis. And this z-axis will also be perpendicular to the horizontal line. So let these three are our isometric axis. Next step is, next we all know what are the principal dimensions are there. So next we have to Next, we have to find out all the principal dimensions and their values, and then we have to let, if we think that this portion, we will start our drawing from this portion, say, then from this point to the maximum point we will take the dimensions, because at the first point we will draw the housing block. Now to draw the housing block we will be needed to know what are the maximum dimensions. Like, if we think that this one is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis and this height is the z-axis, so if this length, along this length it is the x-axis, so along the x-axis the total dimension is 360. So we will mark that dimension on this uh, if we take it as a x-axis, then on this x-axis we will put the dimension, that is 360 mm. So we will put that dimension on x-axis. Now to put the dimension we can do one thing, we can take help of uh, compass. So with the help of a compass we can measure 360 mm, and then we can mark it on this isometric axis. So we can measure 360 mm on the scale. So with the help of this compass we can measure 360 mm, that means 36 centimeter. So we can measure 36, sorry, it is 56, it becomes 56, so it will be 36. So it is, we have to decrease it, it will be 36. Okay, so this is the total length. Now we will measure this 36 mm, and then we will mark this 36 mm, then we will mark this 36 mm on this axis, on this isometric axis. Okay, so on this isometric axis. Similarly, the next step is we have to find out the next dimension. So next dimension is, say, this width. Now this width is given as, here we will get, it is given as 180 mm. So it is 180 mm. So the same method we will measure this dimension on the scale. and we will mark it on this isometric axis. So we will measure it on scale. So 180 mm is 18 centimeter. So it will be it is 18 centimeter. So up to this point. Now so it will be this is 180 mm up to this point. Okay, up to this point. Okay, so this is 180 mm. Now the next is the height. So the total height is 135 mm. So now we will measure the total height, that is 135 mm. So we are taking another compass. It is 135 mm. So 13.5, 13.5, that means up to this point. Okay, so up to this point. So this is the total box we have already made. So it is, this dimension is 180, this one is 360, and this upper dimension is 135. Okay, so all the dimensions we have made. Now we have to prepare, we have to make the box. So to make the housing block, now we have to draw the isometric lines. All of you know what is isometric lines? Isometric lines are the lines that are parallel to the isometric axis. So if there is any axis that is parallel to that these isometric axes, all those lines will be called as isometric lines. And if there is any line that is not parallel to the isometric axis, then that line will be called as non-isometric line. So the first step is, now we will make the box. Now to make the box, we will draw the isometric lines. So from this point, now from this point, I have drawn one isometric line. Now to make the box, I have to take the same dimension and I have marked on this isometric line. Similarly In the same way, we have to draw another vertical line over here. That is another isometric axis, and on these axes also we have to mark this dimension. Okay, so now we can draw this and this isometric line. So if I draw this isometric line from this point to this point, and from this point to this point. Okay, so we have drawn the isometric lines. Now, next, we have to draw the other isometric lines also. Now, to draw the other isometric line, what we can do, we can take help of this compass. So, with the help of this compass, okay, and with this help of this compass, we can locate the point, other corner. Okay, now the same way, now we will connect these points, these 2 points, and we will connect this point, this point, and this one. Okay, so we have made a block. Similarly, the other isometric lines are, we can draw it in this way. Okay, so now we will connect this point and this one, and this point and this one. Okay, now the next step. So all the isometric axes we have drawn. Okay, so another line. Okay, so this is the housing block. Now, okay, so now we have to mark the other dimensions. So here, let if we are taking that, we are starting from this point. So we have to locate this point first. So this point is at a distance of 30 mm from the starting point. So if we are taking that this one is the starting point. So from this starting point, this point is at a height of 30 mm. So we have to measure this height. So we can measure with the help of scale. So with the help of scale, we can measure 30 mm. So from this point, it is at a distance of 30 mm. Now we can locate that point. Okay, so it is 30 mm height. Next height is 30 mm. The next height is 45 at a height of 45 mm, and the next height is at a height of 60 mm. So if we look at all those heights, the next height is at a height of 45. So this height is 45. Okay, and the next height is, say, that is 60 mm. So that will be the topmost part. Okay, now the next part is, next this dimension is given as 180 mm. Okay, so this dimension is given as 180 mm. So okay, before coming to the this dimension, let we are putting the dimensions on this axis. So this height is, total height is 105 from the base. So from the base, the total height is 105 mm. So locate that height. From the base, it is at a height of 105 mm. From the base, it is at a height of 105. So it is over here, 105 mm. Okay. The next is 105. Okay. Now the next point is, let this point. This point is, from this point it is at a distance of 180 mm. So this point, from this point, it is at a distance of 180 mm. So if we rotate the scale, or you can use the compass also. 180 mm means it is 18 centimeter. So it is 18 centimeters. So from this point, So this is 18 centimeter. Okay. So we have got some lines. Now at first we will draw these lines. Then we will move to the other portions. So, so from this point, we will draw a line, and this line will also be 30-degree inclined. So we can take help of this set square. Okay. So next is similarly the next step is we will draw. Uh, we will draw this portion, this point. So if we draw this point, then so this one is the point. Now if we draw it, we will get the point over here. Okay. Next portion is okay. Now, okay, we can draw this upper portion. We can draw this upper portion, and the height of this upper and the width of this upper portion is the width of this upper portion will be the width of this upper portion will be it will be 30 mm. It will be 30 mm this width. Okay, so the width of this upper portion is 30 mm. So we can draw this part. So it is at a distance of 30 mm. So with the help of this scale, we can locate the point. We can locate this point. Okay. Now, if we draw it, okay. So next part is now we will draw. Okay. Now we can draw the lower portion, this height. Now to draw this height, from this point we can draw a vertical line. From this point we can draw a vertical line. We can draw a vertical line. Okay, and uh, then at a height of 60 mm we can draw this isometric line, and at the height of 45 mm we can draw this isometric line. So to draw these isometric lines, we can take help of the set square. We can take help of this set square. With the help of this set square, we can draw these lines. So from this point, we can draw from this point, from this point, we can draw the line. Similarly, from this point, also we will draw the line. Okay, so all the lines that we are drawing, all these are the isometric lines, as all the lines are parallel to the isometric axis. Okay. Now the next point is so we can make some of the portions darker. So like this is the final edge already completed, so we are making it darker. The next part is this portion is completed, so we have made it darker. This one is also completed. This edge is completed, so that it will be easier for you to do the rest of the parts. So you can draw these the portions that you have already done. You can make those parts darker. Okay. Now, now we will draw from this point. Now we will draw the vertical line. So from this point, from this point, now we will draw a vertical line. Okay. Now, now we can make this portion thicker. So we can make this line as a thick line. Okay. Rather, we can make this line as a thick line, the lower one. and then this vertical one. Okay, and then from this point again we have to show this part. Okay, all these are the visible edges. That's why I am showing all the lines with the help of thick lines. Now we will make this part. Okay. Mm, okay. Now to do the before now to do this part, we have to measure this height and mm, I hope we have measured this portion. We have already measured this portion. So this point is already given, and this distance is given as 45 mm. So at first, okay. So we have already located the point. Now we have to draw the isometric line. Now we have to draw the isometric line. Okay, so we have drawn the isometric line. Uh, and on this line, we have to measure from this end point, we have to measure 45 mm distance. So with the help of a scale, we can measure this 45 mm distance. So with the help of scale, we will measure the 45 mm distance. So it is 45 mm distance. Okay. Now we will draw the vertical line from this point. Now we will draw the vertical line from this distance, and this vertical line will be up to this isometric line. Okay, so up to this isometric line. That means from this point it will be up to this isometric line. So we will draw from this point. We will draw from this point up to this isometric line. Okay. Okay. So we will make all these lines as thick lines, as all these lines are the outlines. Okay, so all these will be thick line, and from this point to up to this point. Okay, Okay, so it will always be better if we draw the isometric lines one by one. Like suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis. So if we draw all the isometric lines along the x-axis, then if we draw all the isometric lines along y-axis, then it will be better for you. So like here, so we have already drawn this portion, this left hand side part. Acha. Now if we draw all the isometric lines along this axis, so if we say if we say that if we say that this direction is say x axis direction, this one is y axis direction, and this one is z axis direction, suppose. So now we will draw all the isometric lines that will be parallel to, that is parallel to the y axis. So the next isometric lines that will be okay. So from these points also we will get some isometric lines. So from this point also we will get some isometric lines. Okay, so from these points also we will get some isometric lines. Okay, similarly, so this point is completed. Any other lines are left? Okay. Okay, I hope there is no lines left. If there is any lines left, then we will draw it later. Okay, now we will draw the um, uh, isometric lines that are parallel to the x-axis. So uh, we will move this one. Okay, so now according to the drawing, now we will draw this one. Now we will draw this one from this point. Okay, this one. Then we will draw, this one is completed, and next part is okay, from this portion, no need of this portion, from this portion. Okay, next portion is this one. Okay, okay, similarly the upper portion, the upper portion. Okay, then this part. Okay, so these are the parts. Next, next, anything is left? Anything is left? Okay. Again, we will rotate this one. So now we will draw this part from this point to this part. Okay. Next is the from this portion to this portion. Okay. This line will be extended a little bit. This line will be extended a little bit. Okay. And then we will connect from this point to, we will draw this isometric line also. Okay. So now we will make the portions darker. So to make the portion darker, we will take the line. We will use HB pencils to make this portion, to make this the outer lines thicker. Okay. So this is not the complete drawing, but 80% is completed. 80% of the drawing is completed. Now we have to draw these holes. Now we have to draw these holes. So before drawing these holes, at first we have to locate the center point of the holes, and then we have to use four centered method to draw these circles or draw these holes on these surfaces. So as you can see, there are two holes and both the holes have the same dimension, that is, it is given as 60 mm dia. So both the holes have diameter of 60 mm. Now here this hole can be seen, but this hole the partial view of this hole will be blocked by this portion. Okay, so we have to keep that in our mind. Acha. The other lines, all the thin lines, all these thin lines are called as construction lines, and all these thick lines are called as outlines. Okay, in an isometric view. So now we have to figure out the location of one of or location of the holes. So this is the first hole. Its location is from this edge. This is located as 90 mm. Okay, and from this surface, this hole is located as at 60 mm. Okay, so we have to locate this um, the center point of the circle. Okay, similarly, this circle is placed from this circle at a distance of 135 mm. So at first we will locate this circle, then or this hole, then we will locate this hole. Now to locate the hole, this is from this edge it is at a distance of 60 mm, and from this edge it is at a distance of 90 mm. So now we have to locate this one. So from this edge it is at a distance of 90, and from this edge it is at a distance of 60. So to locate that, we can do one thing. At first we can measure from this point 90 mm distance. Then from this point we can measure 60 mm distance. Okay. Acha. So uh, we will use our scale to measure this distance. So we will use this scale to measure the distance. So from this point it is at a distance of 60 mm. So 60 mm is this point is 60 mm. Here it is. This is 60 mm. Okay. Similarly, from this point, from this position, it is at a distance of 90 mm. So from this point, it will be at a distance of 90 mm. So if we draw a line, okay, okay, and on this surface it is at a distance of 90 mm. So let from this point it is at a distance of 90 mm. Actually, all these stuffs are done by. You should do all these things with the help of a divider. But as I don't have any divider facility over here, so I am using a scale. But you always should use a divider so that it will be much more accurate. So this distance is 90 mm. Okay, so we have got the center point. So we have got the center point. So the location of the center point is, so this is the location of the center point. So, so this is the center point. Locate the center point. Okay. Now, now to draw this circle over here, we will be needed. Uh, we will be needed to apply four-centered method. Now to apply the four-centered method, what we can do? Acha. Okay. So to now to apply the four-centered method, what we can do? The At first we have to draw a rhombus. Now to draw the rhombus, we need to know what is the diameter of the circle. So the diameter of the circle, we know given it is given as it is given as 60 mm. So diameter of the circle is given as 60 mm. So as the diameter of the circle is 60 mm, so we will draw a rectangle first. Okay. Whose Sorry, we will draw a square first. Actually, that is a rhombus. So we will draw a rhombus first, whose all the sides will be 60 mm. So we will draw it. So to draw it, at first we will measure with the help of these scales. So 60 mm each side means 30 and 30. So we are dividing it as 30 and 30. So this is 30 mm, and up to this it is the next 30 mm. Okay. Similarly, we will measure here also. So up to this it is 30, and then up to this point it is 60. Okay. Now we will draw the rhombus. So to draw it, we will take the help of the scales. And I am drawing this rhombus with the help of a different color so that it will be easier for you to understand and you can identify it. Otherwise, within the in the other construction lines, you cannot you may be it may be difficult for you to understand it. So I am using green color to draw the rhombus. Okay. Similarly, it will be drawn over here also. Okay. Now with the help of this scale, now we will okay, and then at this point also. At this point also. Okay. Now, now look at here. Now we have to find out what are the midpoints. At first, we have to find out which one is the longest corner. There is one corner and there is another corner. Now, this corner is the longest corner. Now, as this one is the longest corner, so what we'll do, at first, we will locate the midpoints of, suppose this corner to corner distance is the shorter one. Now, if this point to this point corner distance is shorter one, if this point, if this point to this point corner distance is shorter one, then we have to find out for this point there is one line and there is another adjacent line. Okay, so we will find out the midpoint of this line and this adjacent line. So the midpoint is this one, the midpoint is this one, and here it is this one. Okay, similarly for this point, this is one adjacent line, this is another adjacent line. So the midpoint of this line is this one, and midpoint of this line is this one. Okay. Now we will connect. Now we will connect this point. Now we will connect this point, and the the opposite means this point means this is the midpoint of the adjacent sides of the opposite point. So this this is the opposite point of this point, and these are the adjacent sides of this point, and these midpoints will be connected with this point. So what we will do, we will connect this midpoint with the with this corner point. Okay. Similarly, we will connect this corner point with this midpoint also. Okay. Another thing is, the same way we will connect the opposite corner point with this midpoint, and this opposite corner point with this midpoint. Now, as a result, it looks like a star. So it is also called as star method, or it is called as four-centered method. Why it is called as four-centered method? As there are four center points. Okay. So this is one center point, this is another center point. Okay. This is third center point, and this one is the fourth center point. That's why it is called as four centered method. Okay. Now we will draw the circle. Now to draw the circle, we will be needed a compass. We will be needed a compass. Okay. Now we have to measure now the problem is, as there is a limitation of this compass, so it cannot we cannot decrease the value dimension of this compass below 2.5 centimeter. That is, it cannot draw the circles below 50 diameter circle. Now here, from this point to this point, distance is lower than 2.5 sorry, 25 so it becomes a difficulty. So then we have to make some change in this drawing. So what we can do, we can do one thing. We can increase the diameter of these holes. So let the diameter of the hole, we are taking it as, say, instead of 60 say we are taking it as instead of 60 we are taking it as, suppose, say we are taking it as 80 Okay, then some dimensions will get changed. The concept is same, only few dimensions will get changed. So we have to erase these lines. Okay, and we have to start again. So the same way, this is our center point. This is our center point. So as it is 80 mm, so 40 mm. So as it is 80 mm is its diameter. So all the sides are of 40 mm sides. Okay. So um, these distances will get increased. Okay. So these dimensions will get changed. So from this point to this point, it will be, now we have to take 40 mm. So this is 30. So up to this point. So we will take, up to this point, 10, 20, 30, and 40. So up to this point. Okay. Similarly, over here also 10, 20, 30, 40. So up to this point. Okay. Now this is another scale. So here also same thing. Uh, 10, 20, 30, 40. So up to this point, 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. So up to this point. Okay. Uh, now, again we have to draw the lines. Okay. This is the next line. Similarly, this line. And this one. Okay. Now the same method, we have to figure out the corner points. The same method, the method is not different. So we will find out the corner point. So this is one corner point. This is another corner point. Next we will find out the midpoint. So this is one midpoint and this is another midpoint. Okay. Similarly, this is one midpoint and this is another midpoint. Okay. Now we will connect the points. So from this point it will be connected to up to this point. Okay, and from this point it will be connected to this point. Similarly, from this point it will be connected to this point, and from this one it will be connected to this midpoint. Okay, now we have four centers. This is one center, this is another center, and this one is third one, and this one is fourth one. So there are four centers. Now, now we will measure the dimensions. Again, some problem. It should be 100 mm at least. Otherwise, it is difficult. So if we increase 100 mm distance, as due to the limitation in the of the compass, we have to change the dimension of the diameter of the hose. So now we are changing the dimension of the diameter of the hose from 60 degree to we are changing this dimension of the hole from 60 degree to let the dimension we are making it as around 100 mm. Okay. So the dimension of the diameter of the hole is 100 mm. Now, as the diameter of the hole is 100 mm, so at first we have to locate the center point. So, to locate the center point, uh, as we can see, as we can see, the location of the center point is from this edge it is at a distance of 90 mm, and from this edge it is at a distance of 60 mm from this edge. So, if we look at the figure, so the center point will be from this surface, it will be at a distance of 90 mm. So if this is the center point, then the center point is will be from this isometric axis, isometric line. It will be at a distance of 90 mm, and from this axis, it will be at a distance of 60 mm. Okay, so this is the center point of the circle. Okay, now this distance is 60 mm. Okay, so there is no problem. So now we have to draw the rhombus. Now to draw the rhombus, because we have to apply the four-centered method to draw the to draw the circular hole on this surface. So to do that, at first we have to draw a rhombus. Now to draw the rhombus, so each of the side of the rhombus will be 50 mm dimension. So from this point we will take 50 mm and 50 mm. Okay, that means this distance is 50 mm, and here this one is 50 mm. Okay, both these distances 50 mm. Okay, now on this axis, on this center line, uh, from this center point to this point, it is up to this point it is 50 mm, and up to this point it is 50 mm. Okay, okay. Now we will draw the lines. Now we'll draw the lines. So this is the one side of the rhombus, the one side of the rhombus. This is the another side of the rhombus. Okay. So next is this is the another side of the rhombus, and here it is another side. Okay. Now, what is that four-centered method? So in the four-centered method, we will be needed four center points to draw the circle, the isometric view of the circle. So have the four centers, what we'll do, at first we have to find out the corner points. So here this is one corner point and this is another corner point of the rhombus. Okay, and this is another corner point, and here it is another corner point. Now this distance means this diagonal distance is greater than this diagonal distance, right? This diagonal distance is greater than this diagonal distance. So we will choose the shorter diagonal distance. So we will choose a shorter diagonal distance. So we are choosing this diagonal distance as it is shorter. So what we'll do, we will take this one as a center point and this one as a center point. Okay. The next step is, now we have to find out opposite to this center point. This one is the another center point. Sorry, opposite to the corner point. From this corner, this is one corner point, and opposite to this corner point, these two are the adjacent sides. So we will find out the midpoint of these adjacent sides. So this is one midpoint, and here it is another midpoint. Okay, these are the two midpoints. Similarly, for this corner points, opposite to this corner points, we have this one and this one is the adjacent lines. So we will find out the midpoint of this adjacent line and we will find out the midpoint of this adjacent line. Okay. Next step is, now we will connect this corner point. Now we will connect this corner point with this midpoint and with this corner point with this midpoint. Similarly, we will connect this corner point with this midpoint and this corner point with this midpoint. Okay, this will give us four center points. Where? So this is already one center point. This is one center point. This is another center point. This one is another center point, and this one is the fourth one. Fourth center point. So you can see there are four center points are there. Now using these four center points, we will draw the isometric view of the isometric view of the circle. Okay. Okay. So we will draw the isometric view of the circle. Clear? So we will take the compass. We will take the compass and we will measure this distance. We will measure this distance. Okay. And then this is one radius and this is the center. We will draw an arc over here. Center point is not correctly taken. This is the actual position of the center point. Okay, so if you don't take the center point correctly, your your shape of the isometric view will not correct. Okay, so it must be taken properly so that it will be correct. Okay, up to this point. Clear? Similarly, next we will draw this point as a center point and this one as a radius. This one or this one? Any one. This one or this one as a radius. Okay? And then we will draw it. And this is another radius. Okay? Now the next part. Next part is next part is we will take this one as a center point. We will take this one as a center point and up to this distance as a radius. Okay, so we will draw another arc and this will be continued up to this point. Okay, similarly, taking this point as a center point and this point as a radius, we'll draw another arc that will be up to this point. Okay, a little bit modification is needed over here on these two smaller arcs. Little bit modifications are needed. By the way, the portion is almost correct. Okay, so this method is called as four-centered method. Okay, so this method is called as four-centered method. In this way, you can draw the circle. Now you can do one thing. You can make the circle little bit thicker so that um, as it is the outline, so that it can be easily seen. Okay, so again we will take this one as radius. Okay, similarly from this point. then the smaller arcs. Now we will draw the smaller arcs. Okay, so the smaller arcs, so this portion to this part, and here also. Okay, so this is the circle, the complete circle, and this is the view of the hole in the isometric view. Now we have to draw the another one, and the distance of that another hole is at a distance of 135 from this point. So let we are reducing the dimension, and it is 135, so 60. Okay, so I'm changing a little bit dimension here in this drawing. The dimension that I'm changing is uh, I'm changing. I'm changing a little bit. Uh, in this drawing, I'm changing the dimension over here a little bit. Like I'm changing this dimension from 135 to I'm changing it to 165. Okay. Okay. That means what is this dimension? This dimension is this is 30 plus 165. So 195 plus 60. So it is 255 plus 45. So 260. So 300. Right. So this is okay. So that means this distance from this edge to this distance is 60 mm. That means we can do in this way also that we can do one thing. So to do the same thing, to make this hole, again we have to draw this four-centered method. So to draw this four-centered method, we can do one thing. Um, Here again we have to measure from this surface. From this surface means we can draw this surface over here. We can draw the surface. So it will be like this. Okay. Okay. And here also the vertical line. Okay. Now again we have to from this point we have to measure 60 mm distance, and from this point we have to measure the 90 mm distance. Same thing we have to do again. So to do that, at first uh, we will draw from this point at a distance 90 mm. So we can measure with the help of the scale. So with the help of the scale, we can measure. Um, this is this dimension is 60 mm. So we can measure 60 mm distance. So this one is 60 mm. Up to this point is 60 mm. And so we can draw a line. So if we draw a line, okay, this one axis and another axis will be at a distance of 90 mm from this edge. So at a distance of 90 mm from this edge, there will be another axis. So the another axis will be at a distance of 90 mm. That means it will lie at from this point from from 90 mm, it should lie at this point. It should lie at this point. Okay. Okay. So basically, we can say that we can say that extend if we extend this axis, then we will get this axis. Okay, because both the axes will lie should lie in the same line. So we can say okay, it will like this. Okay, so this is the center point. Now the same method we have to apply. Now the same method we will apply. So what is that method? Same method we will apply. And what is that method? So what is that method? The method is we will draw 50 mm line in this side, 50 mm line in this side. Okay, so we can extend this. We can extend the line. Okay. So now another thing we can do over here, we can extend these lines. Okay, so if we extend these lines, we can, if we extend these lines, we can get these lines also. So if we extend these lines, okay, it will be like this, and this line will be okay, and then this line. Now this line will be, we have to measure. So this line will be at a distance of 50 mm. This line will be at a distance of 50 mm. That means it is at a distance of 50 mm, like this. So, so here it is. Okay. Similarly, here also the point will lie on at this point. Okay. Now we will draw. Now we will connect this point. Now we will connect this point. Okay. Similarly, we will connect these point also. These point also. Okay. Now we will apply the four-centered method. Now if we apply the four-centered method, again we have to find out the center points. So the same method we will follow. So to find out the center points, this is one center point. Okay, this is another center point. This is another one. Here it is, another one. Okay, next this is, and this one is another one. Okay, so we have the four center points. Now we will connect all these center points. We will connect all these center points. We will connect all these center points. Similarly, from the opposite corner, we will connect the center, the midpoints. We will connect these midpoints. Okay. Again, we will be needed a compass. Okay. Now, look at here. The the portion of the circle that will be within this part cannot be seen from cannot be seen as this part of the object will overlap on this portion of the whole, so that cannot be seen. So we will draw the portion only that can be seen. Okay, so we will draw the portions only that can only be seen. Okay, so up to the center point it will go move. Okay, okay, so if we draw it, it will be from this point to up to this point. As after that part, after this part, after this part, the next portion cannot be seen. So we will not draw it. We won't draw that part. Okay? The next portion. The next part is, this is the center point. This one is the center point. Okay? And this one is the radius. And this is the diameter. So now we will draw it, and okay, now there is this little bit part can be seen at this portion. So we have to draw that part also. So that will be this one is the radius. Okay, up to this portion. It can already be seen. So if we draw it, okay, up to this portion. Okay, so these will be the visible portion. Rest of the parts are not visible. So we will not draw that portion. Okay, so this is the portion. So I hope not, no portion is left. Okay. Now, so so I hope all the portions have already drawn. Now we have to give the dimensions. Now we have to put the dimensions. That is an important portion. Putting the dimensions. Now, to achha, here is one thing. There is this portion is this portion means at this part there is a gap. So we have to find that portion. Okay, and this one is around 45 mm and 45 mm. So from this portion we have to draw up to 45, and from this portion it is 45 mm. Okay, so to do that we can take help of this scale. So from this point it is 45 mm. So from this point it is 45. That means up to this portion. And from this end is also at a distance of 45. So up to this distance. Okay. Now we will draw it. Now we will draw it, and we will draw it with the help of the set square. So with the help of set square, if we draw it, it will be to this part. Okay. So up to this portion. Similarly, from this part,
it, it will be up to this portion. Okay. Now, so you have to erase some portion over here. Okay, and it will be okay. So this is the portion. Now the next part is, so from this point it can be seen, this line can be seen, and so from this point this line can be seen, and this line can also be seen. Okay, next part is, now there is will be another line that will pass through this point, will pass through these points, okay, and then we'll draw the vertical line from this point, and a vertical line from this point, vertical line from these points, okay, and okay, and this one will be connected from this point to this point, from this point to this point, and this one. Okay. Okay. Now, now there will be then one more portion will be added. Okay. This portion will not be there. Okay. Now there will be another portion we have to add, that there will be this portion of the circle will be there. So we have to draw this portion of the circle also. So to do that, this is the center point. This is the radius. Okay, it will come up to this point. So from this point, it will come up to this point. Okay. Okay. So now look at the drawing. Look at this isometric view and the orthographic view. Look at the multi-view and the isometric view. Look at both these views. Okay. So this is the way to convert any multi-view to an isometric view. Okay, so in this way you can convert a isometric view into a multi-view into an isometric view. Okay, so you all have to follow these steps to draw an isometric view. Okay, so that's all for this lecture. that we have to mention over here also. We have to put the dimensions. So to put the dimensions, what we can do, we can take help of this set squares. Okay. So to put the dimensions, so from this point, okay. Now, so this point to this point, what is the distance? And from this point to this point, what is the distance? Okay. So there is two distance. Now we will write this distance. So it is this distance is given as, set first add it, okay, close add it, and it is 180 mm. Okay, and this dimension is, there is an arrow it, here it is an arrow it is 360 mm. Okay, next dimension is, next dimension is from this point to this point. So from this point to this point, it is 180 mm. From this point to this point, it is 180 mm. Okay. Next is, okay. Then dimension is, okay. This dimension is given as 45 and this one is also 45. So from this point to this point, this point to this point, dimensions will be given, and from this point to this point also the dimensions will be given. Okay. Okay. Next is this distance is given as 90 mm. So this one is given as 90 mm. Next is this is 30. That means from this point to this point it is 90 mm. Okay. Next is sorry 30 mm. So then this point to this point, this distance is given, and okay, and this point, this distance is also given, and okay, this height. So this height also given, and okay, this height. So from here to here, the dimension line. This is the dimension line for this one, and this is the dimension line for this distance, and this is the dimension line for this distance. Okay, so now quickly write all the dimensions. So this dimension is given as 45, 45 mm, this thickness. So it is given as 45 mm. So from this point to from this point to this point, it is given as 45. Okay, and next is this height. This height is given as this height is given as this height is given as 105. Okay, next is this height is given as 30 mm. And next is this this distance is 45. This one is 90, and this one is 45. Okay, okay, and then this one this one is 30. So this distance is from this point to this point. So from this point, this point, this one is 30. Okay. So next is this is 30, and now we have to put the locations. Okay. So another dimensions are these dimensions. This one is 30. This one is 45. This one is 60. Okay. is 30. This is 45. This one is 60. Okay, so these are the dimensions, and now the rest of the dimensions are only the location dimensions. That is, one dimension is from this point it is 60, and from this um, hole it is at a distance of 165. So, from this point, so this to this, and okay, so now at this point, now from this point to this point it is 60, and this 160. And okay, now I'm showing the center line. That this is the center line. Here also this is the center line, and here it is the center line. Okay, and now as the center lines will be a chain line, so here we will make it a chain line. Here also we will make this line as a center line. Okay. So, so in this way, you have to draw. You have to draw the, or you have to convert the or isomet multi-view to isometric view. So basically, here the all the outlines will be drawn in the with the help of HB pencil, and all the construction lines will be drawn. Construction lines, chain lines will be drawn with the help of 2H pencils. That you need to remember. So all the all the outlines will be drawn with the help of outlines will be drawn with the help of HB pencils and construction or chain lines will be drawn with the help of 2H pencils. Okay, so that's all for the conversion of orthographic to sorry, yeah, orthographic or multi-view projection to isometric projection.